We had some questions, and I'm coming back now. One of the questions by Aaron was, how are we going to follow up? He's a first-time leader, and he's somewhat intimidated. How's that going to work? And so one of the things I wanted to say was that why don't we just do a Facebook page, and the only people that will be invited or be allowed in is the leaders. And then we can all interact. So maybe Aaron will put up a question, and maybe Gary or Tom or Joan or somebody will answer him before I even get a chance to. It'll be a place to network for leaders so that we can sharpen one another. Another thing, too, that I hadn't mentioned earlier in the studies was that in the summertime, in the semesters, they're going to be a little bit more lighthearted, maybe hiking, things like that. You can still have the regular studies if you want, that's fine. But in the summertime will be a good chance for first-time leaders to come in. Another thing, too, is we would like to have leaders only lead 2 semesters in a row and then take a semester off just for their own spiritual health. And so if a person who leads in the fall semester and in the spring semester, they're full, they've done 2 services, then they can take off for the summer, have their apprentice lead the summer group, which is a little bit more lighthearted, and then they can maybe sit in the corner for that or go and hang out or something, but they don't have to lead it. So those are some things that we're hoping to incorporate too. Any other questions? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I like the idea of the summer because now that, a year from now, we're going to be telling the leaders, hey, by the way, you need to, get with your apprentice, and is there anything your apprentice could do this summer? And the leader knows that he's taught in the fall, he's taught in the spring, he needs a break anyway, and he's been pouring himself into this apprentice, and now this apprentice is going to take over, and maybe he can enable him. A perfect case is, I think it's John Kessler was telling he has to be out of town, I forget how many times, this summer. But he could still be in the background for his apprentice who becomes a leader, even if he misses 4 or 5 times this summer out of 12 or 10 or 12, whatever. He could still do that. Okay?
Just a matter of clarification.
Okay.
Any 2 semesters and then take 1 off. It doesn't have to be the summer.
Right. No.
Okay.
No. Now Jim has a unique situation where he has an ongoing group. And I don't mind if they have ongoing groups, but I know Jim, I know that you've used other people to teach too. Mm-hmm. And I think that you're wise enough to know that you can't do it forever, probably. Right. And there's times when you take a semester off and you sit back, you probably enjoy it more and maybe learn more. And then when you come back to teach, you're more invigorated and ready to go.
Because I know for me, at work fall is our busy time of the year.
Okay.
So I know right now I'm going to continue teaching the summer.
Yeah.
But the fall, someone else in my group is going to be doing the teaching. I'll lead the prayer and all that. I'll still be the leader of the group, but I'm not going to be teaching because I just don't have time to prepare to do things like that. So that'll be my time off.
So to answer Tom, it doesn't have to be the summer semester you take off. It's just whatever you decide. The summer is going to be intentionally have some of those more lighthearted things. If they want to have lighthearted things the rest in some of their other year too, that's great. But summer's the time to get outside and hike and do things, and it's just a good time for that. Thank you, Gary. Gary brought up a point that was good there. He said, we try to get people to read their Bible. And as growth group leaders, you think, how can I get people to read their Bible? When I was a young Christian and people would ask me my opinion, I would give them my opinion. But as I got older, I realized that my opinion didn't matter. They needed to know what God had to say. So the way that I did that was the way you can do that as a growth group leader is kind of fun. And that is you need to get an ally, and maybe your coordinator or maybe even just somebody else that you know is a seasoned Christian. And you go to them apart from the group and you say this, look, we want to try and get our people involved in reading God's Word. So throughout this semester, I want you to work with me on something, okay? And the 2 of you talk it over, and here's how it goes. So you get there to your group and you say, the first time you say, hey, this next week, read Proverbs chapter 1. Everybody could read it in a week. And just write down what speaks to you and then get back with me. Next week we'll just talk about it. Or maybe if you're like Aaron and you're talking about love or something, and you have all your own verses. Hey, next week, there's 4 verses here. I want you to just read through those and come back to me before we even start with what you think about these. Now, you're getting people to get into the Word and think and digest it and come back to you. But the problem is the first week, some people might not do it. That's where your ally comes in. Nobody else knows it, but they're going to chime in and start saying, hey, last week, this is what I got. And nobody else needs to know that the 2 of you are working together. It's not deceitful or anything. It's just a thing where you're trying to bring out the best. And if only the leader does it, everybody's going to think that's weird. But if somebody even other than your coordinator does it, then that's pretty cool.